Hey guys, my name is Ryan. I'm a full-time reseller. I sell on eBay and Poshmark and a little bit on Facebook Marketplace, but not too much. Today I wanted to cover the top 10 uh, resellers I watch on YouTube and just kind of give them a little appreciation because besides the top 10, a lot of them have helped me to grow the business that I have today. So let's get into the first one. At number 10 is Second Chance Picker. He covers a lot of good content on a lot of like the analytical kind of things and little details of of reselling. Kind of like not just what to sell, but the little things about shipping or dealing with eBay, if you have to contact support and things like that. He covers a lot of good content, and at the end of all his videos, he always recommends, if you like this video, check out eBay thinks you'll like this video as well. And sometimes it's not even his video, and I don't know why, but I like that because it shows that even he's supporting other people in the community, because obviously the YouTube algorithm is going to pick something similar. So that's why I slotted him at number 10, why I like watching him. At number 9 is kind of one I've watched for a long time, and it's the group or couple Rally Roots, and plus they have an assistant. And I first started watching them years ago, and they did vintage t-shirts and things like that, but they would always find like just really cool things in thrift stores. And I believe right now they're doing a challenge of like just finding things and growing it. It's definitely something while I'm working I can play in the background, but there are times that I want to watch what they're actually doing. So they make really good content, and I really like them. That's why I slotted them at number 9, just because I have watched them for a really long time, and they've shown me a couple of tips and tricks along the way. I've seen them go into like wholesale with the coffee makers and things like that. And just to see them go from like their house that they live at now to having the warehouse with an employee, I think that's just really cool. And honestly, it's inspiring. So that's why I got them ranked at number 9. At number 8, I have Kaylee Elaine. She talks about a lot of style-based sourcing, and I think she just started really dipping her toes into whatnot, and she has a couple employees and everything. But I really like how she talks about different styles. I don't really do too many women's clothing, but it's really fascinating how she's able to find these style-based clothing, at the Goodwill bins, and sell them for $30. Like, it's really impressive to me, and I just think it's really cool because she also does like these little things in her videos that talk about like if it's in a certain movie, like I can't remember, but it's a lot of like CW movie or TV shows and things. And I just think it's really cool just to have that mindset of knowing like, oh, this piece of clothing was worn by this actress, so now it's got value. And honestly, before really watching her videos, I don't think I would have really thought of that, just because someone wore it, that it would have value. But she makes really good content on that, and I really enjoy listening to her talk about it. She also does like weekly sales videos and things like that, and it's cool to kind of see her numbers of not just eBay but also Poshmark. So that's why we have her at number 8. At number 7, I have the Nashville Flipper. Mainly I have him because he does a podcast, and him and a couple other people, and I wish I could remember their names right now, but he does a podcast with them, and then he also has an After Dark where it gets kind of just really silly and everything, and it's just really humorous to while I'm working to listen to him. He has special guests and everything. So the Nashville Flipper, they talk about just a little bit of everything of like what was the best sale, or they had someone talking about blankets and things like that, which I've actually been pretty lucky picking up some blankets and selling them. So he's a really good one to listen to. I don't know if he has any single stuff. He probably does have some single stuff, but I mainly watch a lot of his channel because of his podcasts and the After Dark. They're just really cool to just sit back and listen to. Just everyone let loose and relax and just talk about being a reseller. So it's really fascinating. So that's why we have him at number 7. At number 6, I have Justin Resells. I believe he's just a part-time seller, but he talks about a lot of tools. He's the one that has Flipwise, and I have never used it, but he talks about it, how it can kind of keep track of all your numbers and everything like that. So it looks really useful. I just haven't used it. I'm still using just Microsoft Excel, well, actually Google Excel, to keep my track of all my numbers, but it seems really helpful. So he's really good into talking about like tools and things like that. And he does go to a lot of like garage sales, which I used to, but I don't anymore. I mainly just do thrift stores or outlet stores, things like that. So he has really good content on kind of things he's selling from garage sales. So that's why we have him there. All right, at number 5, I have the Reseller Brothers. They actually, I sell a lot of what they sell. I think I model what I do a lot on them, and they're just goofy together, and I like their kind of little humorous clips that they add with each other. They're just really funny guys, and they talked about VAs and also Nifty, but it used to be Auto Posture when I was first really watching them, and they're one of the reasons I actually even got Nifty. So they just talk about a little like the bread and butter kind of stuff, that it's more about volume with them, and obviously it's a little bit more about volume with me, even though I do want to cut back on that and focus more on the higher dollar items, because right now, instead of in my shed or my garage, I have a rack inside my kitchen or my dining room area. So I'd rather not be in here. So I want to try to cut back on the volume as much, but they do have a really good model. And like I said, I kind of modeled a lot of what I do off what they do, and it's been pretty successful for me. At number 4, I have Caleb Sells. He also sells a lot of what I sell. I think he gets something shipped to him from a supplier occasionally. So he does, he's worked hard to find a good supplier, and I know that's really hard work. Like I said, I just go to thrift stores and things like that, so I don't have that. So he does get a lot higher dollar items, but I do like watching when he does go to like Marshalls and TJ Maxx and Ross, because I've slowly started to do that with those higher price items, and I think it's definitely something that can be done. He's also done Whatnot, which I've purchased things from him on Whatnot and resold them on eBay. He just seems like a genuine guy, so I really like watching his content as well. At number 3, and honestly, these top 3, they're all kind of right there. They're people I, in a way, listen to daily. At number 3 is Commonwealth Picker. I can hear that intro music at the get-go. When it switches video and I hear his intro, it's him. I like just how he just talks about life and things like that with his kids, and he has his dogs and cats that come into the shed and hang out with them. And honestly, I see some of how he picks his orders, and in a way it kind of stresses me out. I know he probably knows exactly where everything is, but like when I see him in the shed, he's just like, oh yeah, it's up here on the 3rd shelf all the way in the back. I'm like, how do you know that? I have to like label everything. But he's just he's such an entertainer, and I know he was a teacher, so like him teaching people on what to sell, and just honestly, he teaches just kind of be a good person, in my opinion. he seems like a genuine guy, and that's why I have him at number 3. Like I listen to him almost daily just to see, because he does post pretty much daily. So yeah, he's definitely a channel to watch for. At number 2, I have Surfs Up Spines. Man, he does a lot of like talking live Q&As, and I'll get on there and just kind of chat as well. It was also another teacher, and he just talks about anything and everything, and if he's able to help you, he's willing to help, which I think that's just really cool. He's just shows so much good information, and he just likes to be silly and things like that too. And the videos with him and his dad, man, I'm not gonna lie, when I first seen one of the videos with him taking his dad to the thrift store, man, it made me want to call my dad, because that, to me, that was just such a cool, sweet moment. And even though he did his dad was outside the car trying to get in, but which, if you haven't seen that video, go check it out, because it's a pretty funny video. And also check out his lives. They're just really cool, and that you can just talk with him, and he's just really down to earth. So that's why I got him at number 2. All right, and my number 1 would be Tekken Sports. Tekken Sports has taught me so much about this reselling business. I know he doesn't put out too many videos right now where he was, and I think it was obviously just kind of some burnout with it, of just repeating the same thing over and over. And I totally get it, because I am part of Tekken Sports group, and it is a great group, great content. He has a lot of people that speak in the group to help others. It's just great. And so Tekken Sports, he talks about a lot of things that are to help people. And if people don't want to, and you also have to take what everyone says as their opinion, and even my opinion of my top 10. Tekken Sports definitely is my number 1, just because it has helped me a lot. And his Techonomics video, which if you haven't checked out, definitely check it out. It is a great video, and I've gone back and rewatched it a couple of times. So he tries to share as much knowledge as he can. And he lives in Florida, which is higher populated area than me, but that's not an excuse. Definitely not an excuse. I find great stuff all the time, and like he says, you can find stuff anywhere, and it's true. You can find the needle in a haystack anywhere. So you just have to look for it, and got to be willing to get up early and find it. I sometimes will hit the same thrift store a couple of times, and I'll drive out of town, things like that, things he suggests. So he's such a hard worker, and he's such a knowledgeable guy about this business, that all he does is want to help others. And I think that's just such good, appreciated value. So I can't thank these guys enough for everything they teach. So Tekken Sports, definitely my number 1. So those are my top 10 of August of 2025. All of them are just great YouTube creators and talking about the reselling business. There are definitely other reseller YouTubers out there that just didn't make my top 10. They're just as good, and I watch them. These are just the top 10 I watch a lot. And I do want to mention, have some honorable mentions. So here are a couple. There are definitely a lot of other YouTubers out there that talk about resale content. If you know any other that I didn't mention, drop them in the comments below. There's only so much information you can actually search, and comes up with the algorithm. These kind of all trickle in my algorithm when I watch the reselling content. So if you have other ones to suggest, definitely drop them in the comments. for me, I mainly sell like men's clothing and collectibles. So I do dabble in some other things here and there. So I definitely want to see what other things are suggested. So, but these are my top 10. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment of some other resellers on YouTube to check out. And if you can, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.